Imagine you've walked the same dirt path every day for years. Same trees, same hillside, same piece of rusty junk poking out of the ground, the one you've stepped past 100 times without a second glance. Now imagine that piece of junk is the lid of a can. And inside that can, and 7 more buried beside it, is over $10 million in gold. That's exactly what happened in February 2013 to an ordinary couple in Northern California. The most valuable buried treasure ever found in American soil. No map, no expedition. They weren't even looking. And more than a decade later, one question has never been answered. Who buried a fortune on their land? And why did nobody ever come back for it? California's gold country. The foothills of the Sierra Nevada, the same hills where the gold rush began in 1849. A century and a half later, most of the gold seekers are long gone. What's left are quiet properties, oak trees, and dirt trails. On one of those properties lived a middle-aged couple. To this day, the world knows them only as John and Mary. They've never revealed their real names, and you're about to understand why. It was February. Winter rains had been carving at the hillside for weeks, and on their daily walk with the dog, along a trail they'd used for years, the wife noticed something at the edge of the path. A rusted metal can, half swallowed by the dirt, pushed up out of the earth by 100 winters. They almost left it. It looked like trash. But when they worked it loose, it was heavy. Strangely heavy. The lid was rusted shut, so they carried it back to the house, guessing it was old lead paint someone had buried. They pried it open. Inside, dirt. Packed solid. And in the dirt, dozens of round, caked discs. The husband rubbed one against his shirt, and the mud gave way to a deep, unmistakable shine. Gold. A $20 gold piece, over a century old. What would you do? They did the obvious thing. They went straight back with hand tools. A few feet from the first hole, they hit metal again. Another can. Then another. This one shattered by time, coins spilling loose into the soil. Over the following weeks, working quietly so nobody would notice, they swept the hillside with a metal detector. The final count, 8 cans. 1,427 coins, nearly all of them gold. $20 double eagles, $10 eagles, a handful of fives, dated from 1847 to 1894. The face value stamped on the coins added up to $27,980. But here's what made the appraisers' hands shake. Many of these coins had never been used, never traded, never pocketed, never worn down. Mint condition, straight out of the 1800s. And in the collector market, condition is everything. Estimated value over $10 million. The couple named the find after a feature on their land, the Saddle Ridge Hoard. And while they figured out what on earth to do next, they hid $10 million the same way its first owner had. They buried it in an ice chest. Under the woodpile, which brings us to the question everyone asked. Who buries a fortune in cans and never comes back? The internet's favorite answer arrived fast. In 1901, a clerk at the San Francisco Mint named Walter Dimmock was convicted of stealing $30,000 in gold coins, money that was never recovered. 30,000 stolen. 28,000 buried. The numbers practically rhyme. Case closed? Not quite. Look at the dates. The hoard stops at 1894. A crate of coins stolen from the mint in 1901 would be full of coins from 1899, 1900, 1901. There isn't a single one. The US Mint itself put out a statement. No information links Saddle Ridge to any theft at any mint, ever. Others pointed to outlaws, stagecoach robbers like the legendary Black Bart, who worked these exact hills. But Black Bart was caught in 1883, 11 years before the newest coin in the ground. The real answer is probably stranger, because it's ordinary. The coins weren't buried all at once. Each can held coins from a different stretch of years, in order, like bank statements. Someone was making deposits, year after year, decade after decade, one heavy can at a time, into the safest bank they could imagine. The ground. And it wasn't crazy. In 1893, America's banks collapsed. Around 500 of them failed in a single panic. There was no deposit insurance. If your bank died, your savings died with it. Burying gold wasn't paranoia. For some people, it was the retirement plan. The deposits stop in 1894, right after the panic. Then, silence. Whoever they were, they carried the location to their grave, and the ground kept the secret for 120 years. The couple took the hoard to Kagin's, one of America's oldest rare coin firms, where the coins were cleaned, graded, and catalogued. One coin alone, an 1866 double eagle from the San Francisco Mint, the finest of its kind ever seen, was valued at $1 million. Then Kagin's did something no treasure had ever done. They sold it on Amazon. Ordinary people buying gold rush treasure with a click. Roughly half the hoard sold in the first 72 hours. Now, the part nobody likes. Found treasure is taxable income in the year you find it. Between federal and California rates, nearly half of Saddle Ridge went to taxes. 10 million found is not 10 million kept. The couple kept a few coins, gave part of the money to charity, and disappeared back into their quiet life. Still anonymous. Still, reportedly, walking that same trail. One last thought. The saver who buried those cans put away $28,000, and by refusing to touch it for a century, turned it into 10 million. The best investment in gold rush history was the one everybody forgot. Somewhere in those hills, under some other trail, the next can is still waiting. Next time, the flat-broke miners who found the biggest gold nugget in history.